Something was amiss, something was in the air. It was time to take. Mommy couldn't hold your hand anymore when you went to the bank. Mommy and Daddy couldn't carry you in your stroller. Peepaw had to take the training wheels off of your stroller. The world became too dark, too mythical. Something out of a dystopian story. Daddy didn't have the answers. Mommy was no fun. Uncle Pete was a creeper. All your life you thought you could find the answers. All of your life you felt that there was something wrong.
Peepaw had to take the training wheels off of your stroller. The world became too dark.
Something deep down on the insides. You felt that one day you could solve things. You felt that one day internet would offer an answer. The world could be changed. Welcome to Clown World. Welcome to fucking Clown World. Welcome to the circus, bitch. Hey, bitch, get out of the passing lane. Honk, honk. Tethered to this matrix, you felt yourself alone, confused, bruised deep inside. At a certain point, Mommy couldn't chew up that food and vomit it in your mouth anymore, baby bird. At a certain point, you realized something was wrong and you lived in Clown World. You could think of me as the master programmer, the game master, the controller of Clown World. Setting the stage, bitches. Mommy and Daddy couldn't patch up the wounds. Mommy couldn't spit shine those shoes anymore. And then one day the bacon Daddy brought home was soy. One day Granddaddy comes home and he's missing a pee-pee. One day Sis comes home and she bounces on the trampoline. One of her boobs falls off. One day little brother comes home and he's got a clown wig, except it's not a wig. One day your uncle comes out of the grave and he's your aunt. Then one day you practice cutting. Daddy had to take the wheels off of his stroller. One day your boner explodes. Another day you realize that garbage man was bringing you toys. And then it hit you. The mayor of your local town is in the fucking circus. Mad fucking Hatter, dude. Phallic fallacy. Then you try living on the streets. It was all about getting paid, dog. All about making banks. Then you tried sending them Bitcoins. Then you made love to a girl with your appendages. And something grew on it. And you realized there's a problem, dog. Then you touched a girl and got a disease. This world is messed up. And then you took that black pill and accepted Clown World.
Age to 16. I think it's really important to capture kids when they're in high school, when they're interested in all of this, when they're learning about government, to be able to vote.
Should 16 and 17-year-olds be allowed to vote? D.C. City Council is now considering that question. Legislation was introduced today.
By the next presidential election in 2020, we could see 16 and 17-year-olds voting. Supporters of this measure tell me they have 7 out of 13, a majority of D.C. Council members supporting the measure.
I think people are getting excited about this, especially with what's going on in the nation in terms of youth leading social change. So I think that people are going to be very excited about it and want to get on board.
The legislation introduced today by D.C. Council member Charles Allen.
Hey, hey, hey.
He was inspired by the high schoolers we saw last month at the March for Our Lives, campaigning for gun control. Now, these young people here in D.C. are working on getting the vote for 16 and 17-year-olds.
Children are the future. Just make sure they don't have a say in it. The mobilized students of Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High have inspired the entire country. And while we wait on legislators to pass meaningful gun control, why not pass something else in the meantime to show these students that we care about them and their concerns, like lowering the voting age? Here's why 16-year-olds voting could be good for democracy.
It really matters to me when funding for parks gets changed. It really matters to me when the minimum wage gets changed, and that affects my community.
I'm 16. I just got my driver's license.
People had to take the training wheels off of your stroller.
100 years ago, when those people who resisted the women's vote were coming out with exactly those arguments of immaturity and disinterest, and that women wouldn't know what they were talking about.
Voting matters!
Will the honourable member not agree that those people who were resisting to enlarge the franchise were wrong, and those who are persistently making the case for extending the franchise to women were right, and this is exactly a similar argument.
Letting 16-year-olds vote in the Scottish referendum could sway the argument south of the border.
Mao's childish revolution.
Miliband was sufficiently impressed.
It's time to hear the voice of young people in our politics. So we will give the vote to 16 and 17-year-olds in general elections.
Is that what you vote for affects the rest of your life? And there's more rest of your life.
He got 16 double chins.
For 16 and 17-year-olds than there is, for instance, someone who is 88.
British Youth Council has published a new report pushing for the voting age to be lowered to 16. The initiative at Westminster this evening echoes Sky News' Stand Up Be Counted campaign for greater political engagement among 16 to 25-year-olds.
Let's lower it to 6.
I think it's really heightened my ambitions and everyone else's. It's shown that when 16-year-olds are given that opportunity, they engage and they get involved and they really use the opportunity well.
Teen pimple issues.
There's some radical reforms on the table.
Online voting by 2020.
Mandatory voting.
Being able to register down to the wire, even on election day.
And votes for 16 and 17-year-olds.
Do you agree? He thinks that 16 and 17-year-olds don't have enough experience to vote in the referendum. Do you agree? I'll just go straight round the panel. Yes or no?
No. I think they should vote.
Yes.
Quick answer.
Yes, 16-year-olds can vote because you can be taxed. If you leave school, you can have a job and you can be taxed. Now, there's the old no taxation without representation.
Her bangs are 16 years old.
You should be able to vote when you're going to be paying tax in a world which expects you to be acting as an adult.
I support 16.
Welcome to the Taurocracy.
I think behind the question, do you support, would you like a universal franchise for 16 and 17-year-olds?
I support 16 and 17-year-olds having a vote, not just in the referendum, but every election campaign.
Let 3-year-olds vote. Let 3-year-olds vote.
I'm delighted that 60% of people in that poll last week said they would vote if they part of the referendum. But the important point...
should 16 and 17-year-olds be able to vote in the referendum? Yes, we proposed it. I think it should not just for the referendum. I think it should be for all elections. We need to connect and reconnect the young, especially with the democratic process. This is a good way of doing it.
Okay.
Let 3-year-olds vote. Let 3-year-olds vote.
They organize protests. They gather for walkouts. They skip school, all for the sake of expressing their political views.
16-year-olds rise up now and throw the boomers.
Teenagers in Washington, D.C. want to be heard and want to be given the right to vote at 16 instead of 18.
Let 3-year-olds vote. Let 3-year-olds vote.
So everybody thinks 16-year-olds are stupid, but no 16-year-old is going to vote for Donald Trump in office. It's not going to happen. Like, no one is.
I'd vote for Donald Duck.
And we're not children. If 18 is the age of majority, then 16-year-old is only 2 years younger than that, so we're young adults, and we should be treated as such.
By lowering the voting age from 18 to 16 years of age, my amendment will allow young people to have a say in our federal elections.
It's time for the 6-year-olds to rise up in a revolution against the oppressive 16-year-olds.
To help shape and inform the policies that will set the course for the future. From gun violence to climate change, our young people are organizing, mobilizing, and calling us to action. They're at the forefront of social and legislative movements and have earned inclusion in our democracy.
This is why I'm proud to have introduced a constitutional amendment in the 115th and the 116th Congress to lower the voting age to 16 for
People had to take the training wheels off of your stroller. The world became too dark.
federal, state, and local elections. The amendment in front of us today gives 16-year-olds the right to vote in federal elections.
And I want to read the tweet from Harvard professor Lawrence Tribe. He writes, teens between 14 and 16 have far better BS detectors on average than adults.
Voting matters!
So everybody thinks 16-year-olds are stupid, but no 16-year-olds.
I vote for Donald Duck. Violence. Stop violence.